with you exactly how to write a quality ICE paragraph for your Mighty Long Way final essay. As you guys know, you are answering this writing prompt, talking about whether or not schools are more or less equal than they were back in Carlotta's time. So for this video, here's the claim I'm going to work with. I'm saying, while the United States has made some strides towards making schools equal for all students, there is still progress that needs to be made. So for this video, I'm focusing on the second part. I'm going to talk about one way that I think we still need to make progress. So I'm going to skip these brainstorm boxes because they're optional. And I'm going to go down to where it says draft my final essay. I'm going to talk about ICE 1. So you guys know that with your 5-paragraph essays, you're writing an introduction paragraph, 3 ICE paragraphs, and a conclusion. Each one of your ICE paragraphs is a different reason why your claim is true. You guys will see I color-coded this for you to kind of break it down. So let's start here with the red stuff, the I in ICE, introduce. I'm going to give a topic sentence and tell you what this paragraph is going to be about. Check it out. I wrote, one way the United States has not made schools equal for all students is there is still a disparity, which means difference, in how much money is spent on students in predominantly white school districts compared to what is spent on students in predominantly non-white school districts. Okay, so what I did was I just said what this paragraph is going to be about. I'm talking all about money in this paragraph. What I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to talk about money in schools in Carlotta's time. Then I'm going to talk about money in schools now. And then I'm going to say what that means for equality. How does this show we are actually not as equal as we should be? So now that you guys know my topic, let's move down to my site. This is where I need to talk about back in Carlotta's time. So I could use evidence from A Mighty Long Way or from Little Rock Girl, 1957, and I'm going with Carlotta's book. Check out what I wrote. Back in the 1950s, schools were still segregated by race in Little Rock, Arkansas. Carlotta Walls Lanier explains there were lots of differences between the white school, Central High School, and her school, Dunbar. One of those differences was the amount of money spent at each school. Walls Lanier writes, and you guys will notice I stopped there. I don't want to give you the evidence. You can go in the book and find it yourself. But what you will see that I did was I sort of gave some background info. We call that context. I set the scene. I can't just start copying from one of those books without explaining what is going on. And that's what I did here. And that's what you guys should do in your work too. You'll also notice I gave a little transition here. Something simple. Walls Lanier writes. Now, you should do that also before you copy evidence from a text. It really helps improve your writing flow. All right. So lastly, I'm talking about this green stuff. You guys know that the last thing you need to do is explain your comparison, right? So you need to talk about today. So if I'm still talking about funding, I'm talking about the funding or the money spent in schools today. So check out what I wrote. Fast forward over 60 years, and this race-based funding problem still exists. The Atlantic article, The Whiter, Richer School District Next Door, which, by the way, I posted on your Google Classroom, explains the difference in funding between predominantly white schools and predominantly black schools. Journalist Adam Harris explains, across the United States, in 42 states, there are 969 of these isolating borders, according to EdBuild's recently released report. The average disparity in funding along these borders was roughly $4,000 per student. This means, now, I didn't explain what this means, but let me tell you what I did do. I gave some background. I talked a little bit about this article, and then I gave a quote from it that I think helps me compare what's happening now to what happened back in Carlotta's time. So it's a quote about money spent in schools because I was talking about money spent in schools up here. So the last thing that I would need to do in order to make this a quality ICE paragraph is finish my this means statement. I would need to explain in my own words what this means for equality in schools. How does this show that actually we're not all equal now? We haven't come a mighty long way. And that's the last thing you should do in your paragraph too. Explain how the evidence you put down from Carlotta's time and from now shows that we either have come a mighty long way in making schools equal or we haven't. All right. Now, when you guys do this, the green part, the explain, you can use your notes from Teach Us All. You can use the article about Little Rock schools that I posted a couple days ago, or you can use the article that I just talked about, the Whiter Richer School District Next Door. If you use the Whiter Richer School District Next Door, and you should because it's really good, don't use the quote that I picked. I intentionally picked a quote that wasn't very good. You guys can go find a better one. All right, good luck. Go crush it.